What you're about to hear is a class on the Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 2, verse number 46, given by His Divine Grace Hridayananda Das Goswami Acharya Dev on January 28, 1980 at New Namishranya Forest in Miami.
All purposes that are served by the small pond can at once be served by the great reservoirs of water. Similarly, all the purposes of the Vedas can be served to one who knows the purpose behind them. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The rituals and sacrifices mentioned in the Karmakanda divisions of the Vedic literature are to encourage gradual development of self-realization. And the purpose of self-realization is clearly stated in the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. The purpose of studying the Vedas is to know Lord Krishna, the primeval cause of everything. So, self-realization means understanding Krishna and one's eternal relationship with Him. The relationship of the living entities with Krishna is also mentioned in the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. The living entities are parts and parcels of Krishna. Therefore, revival of Krishna consciousness by the individual living entity is the highest perfectional stage of Vedic knowledge. This is confirmed in the Srimad Bhagavatam as follows. Aho bata sapachoto gariyan yajjihvagre bhartate namatubhyam te pus tapas te juhuvuk sasnur arya brahmanuchunam agrananti jete. O my Lord, a person who is chanting your holy name, although born of a low family like that of a chandala or dog-eater, is situated on the highest platform of self-realization. Such a person must have performed all kinds of penances and sacrifices according to Vedic rituals and studied the Vedic literatures many, many times after taking his bath in all the holy places of pilgrimage. Such a person is considered to be the best of the Aryan family. So one must be intelligent enough to understand the purpose of the Vedas without being attached to the rituals only, and must not desire to be elevated to the heavenly kingdoms for a better quality of sense gratification. It is not possible for the common man in this age to follow all the rules and regulations of the Vedic rituals and the injunctions of the Vedanta and Upanishads. It requires much time, energy, knowledge, and resources to execute the purposes of the Vedas. This is hardly possible in this age. The best purpose of Vedic culture is served, however, by chanting the holy name of the Lord, as recommended by Lord Chaitanya, the deliverer of all fallen souls. When Lord Chaitanya was asked by a great Vedic scholar, Prakashananda Saraswati, why he, the Lord, was chanting the holy name of the Lord like a sentimentalist instead of studying Vedanta philosophy, the Lord replied that his spiritual master found him to be a great fool, and thus he asked him to chant the holy name of Lord Krishna. He did so and became ecstatic like a madman. In this age of Kali, most of the population is foolish and not adequately educated to understand Vedanta philosophy. The best purpose of Vedanta philosophy is served by inoffensively chanting the holy name of the Lord. Vedanta is the last word in Vedic wisdom, and the author and knower of the Vedanta philosophy is Lord Krishna, and the highest Vedantist is the great soul who takes pleasure in chanting the holy name of the Lord. That is the ultimate purpose of all Vedic mysticism. Javanartu dapane sarvataksam plutodake tavan sarveshu vedeshu brahmanasya vijanataha. So here, Lord Krishna is encouraging the living entity to get to the real point of Vedic culture, and not be entangled in the superficial aspects of the great Vedic culture. Therefore, Lord Krishna has given an example. Javanartu dapane sarvataksam plutodake. Just as all the purposes of a small pond can at once be served by the great reservoirs of water. In other words, if we have a very big reservoir of water, like a river, for example, just like I was just on our farm in Brazil, so there's a very nice river, and in that one river, the devotees swim for recreation, they drink water, they wash the pots and pans, they wash their clothes, everything. Everything is done by one nice current of water, one nice reservoir of water. So, otherwise, when there is, in the country, when there is no river or no large current of water, then you have to dig different wells. One well for this land, one well for that land, one well for drinking, so many wells. But Krishna says, Javanartha udupane sarvataksam plutodike. By one great reservoir of water or current of water, all purposes can immediately be fulfilled. So in the same way, there are so many different Vedic rituals and ceremonies which actually can award different types of sense gratification, different types of elevation, liberation. Basically, the Vedic rituals are for dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. For pious life, for example, dharma, artha, kama, moksha. For example, people perform religious rituals such as marriage, but among the fruitive workers, this marriage ceremony is performed because they're thinking, unless this man gets married, he won't work. He'll just be a lazy bum. It'll be good for nothing. So sometimes, if some boy is not getting married, they say to him, "Why don't you get married? Don't be lazy. Good for nothing. Get married. Be responsible." Because they know that if he gets married, then he'll work. So first there is dharma, which means religious ceremonies such as wedding ceremony, and then artha, economic development. Otherwise, if a man is not attached to a woman, he's not inclined to work very much. He's not inclined to work very hard for fruitive activities. Just like, for example, among young men, they'll sleep anywhere. Young men like to travel together. They sleep anywhere. They'll sleep out in the forest. Sometimes they sleep in an abandoned building. They'll sleep anywhere. They'll sleep in this house, in that house, in this room. They don't care. In a kitchen, they'll lie down. Actually, that's actually a fact. Even young men from wealthy families, they don't care where they sleep at night. It's all the same to them. But as soon as the man becomes attached to a woman, then she will say, "Do you expect me to lie down here? Can't you provide any facility?" Then immediately he has to think, "Oh, how will I get money? Can't you provide anything?" And he's worried, if she lies down here, then what if someone steals her? Maybe someone will kill her. Or maybe she'll become disgusted with me and go away. So in this way, for so many different reasons, as soon as there is a little bit of sex attachment to the woman, he becomes very concerned about economic development. So therefore, the normal course of human society is that first there is dharma. There are religious ceremonies to match a young boy with a young girl. They become married, and then the man immediately becomes concerned with economic development. Then, after getting some money, he tries as far as possible to enjoy sense gratification with his family. And finally, at the end of life, when everything is a failure, then he thinks about salvation. So these are the four normal principles of human society. And these are the Vedic principles, dharma, artha, kama, moksha. But Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that Traigunya Visaya Veda Nis Traigunya Bhavarjuna, that these Vedic principles generally are within the modes of material nature. For example, people perform different religious ceremonies. In all religions, Christian religion or Jewish religion or Hindu religion, there are so many different festivals, holy days, ceremonies, and almost all of them are for some type of sense gratification. Just like, for example, in America, unfortunately, Mlecha country, meat eaters, they have a holy day of Thanksgiving to thank God for sending little animals to kill. So they thank God, thank you for allowing us to kill animals. So they feel, so this is a religious occasion. So to celebrate, to say thank you to God, they kill one of God's creatures and offer him. Daddy, please accept this offering. My little brother, I wrung his neck. Now, and now I'm offering to him, do you want a plate? This is my way of saying thank you. So this means they have no practical understanding. But anyway, the idea is that all these religious rituals and ceremonies are meant for sense gratification. People, just like in the Christian tradition, they have their Christmas. So on Christmas, everyone exchanges presents because they're thinking that these religious occasions are an opportunity for sense gratification, to receive some material gift. So in this way, everyone likes religious ceremonies to be performed for sense gratification. Sometimes people complain, why is it that in Krishna consciousness, why do we have to accept austerities? I'm a householder. Why can't I simply get a nice house and money and enjoy? Isn't it that religious ceremonies are meant for sense gratification? Isn't the purpose of religion to have a nice material life? But actually that's not the highest purpose of religion. The real purpose of religion is to come to the point of love of Godhead. Because love of Godhead is even more effective as a means of satisfying our material desires, because if one loves Krishna, then he has no more material desire. Actually, when we have some material desire, we feel some disturbance in our mind that I want this, but I don't have it. So even if you get it, then you're still not satisfied. Even if you get what you want, still you are frustrated. But if by developing love of Krishna, one cannot even remember his material desire, then he has become more satisfied even than the person who acquired some material object. Of course, by Krishna's arrangement, one may or may not acquire a particular material thing. We, just like the child is crying, give me this, give me this. So the father or mother must consider, should I give it to him? He's crying for that, but actually, is that good for him? So in the same way, sometimes we are crying, Krishna, I want that. But then Krishna considers, is that actually good for him? So Krishna may or may not give it. But still, we have to understand the actual purpose of spiritual life is to develop love for Krishna, because when you develop love for Krishna, then you cannot remember what was your material desire. You cannot remember what your material desire was. Just like a man may come into an office to do business, but if he sees some lusty secretary, he may become very lusty also. And as he becomes overwhelmed by sex desire, he cannot remember why he came into the office. So somebody say, well, what was it you wanted? Because he's become overwhelmed by sex desire, he cannot even remember why he came there. This is a material example. So in the same way, it's a fact that when we enter Krishna consciousness, we have so many desires. But we should have so much love for Krishna that we cannot even remember what was our material desire. Then you know that you're actually becoming Krishna conscious. When you cannot remember what is your material desire, when you cannot remember even this body, one should not even remember that he has a material body. Then he's Krishna conscious. When he cannot remember that he has a material body. Just like Dhruva Maharaj. Originally Dhruva Maharaj, due to his Kshatriya blood, he demanded, actually he was only 5 years old, still he was demanding. He demanded from God a kingdom which would be the best kingdom that anyone in his family had ever had. So actually Narayan was thinking, how in the world can this boy be satisfied? He's asking for a kingdom better than any kingdom in the history of his family. But his father is the king of the earth, his Uttanapada, his grandfather, Swayambhuva Manu, is managing the entire universe, and his grandfather is Brahma. And still this rascal is asking for a kingdom greater than any kingdom in the history of his family. And his great-grandfather is Brahma. So how in the world am I going to satisfy this rascal? He was thinking, this 5-year-old boy. So finally, Narayan thought, yes, I will give him something that even Brahma doesn't have. I will give him a Vaikuntha planet, where I'm personally living, and he can be the manager. So in this way, when Narayan actually appeared before Dhruva Maharaj and said, all right, now I've come, actually Dhruva Maharaj was meditating. He was seeing Narayan within his heart. Then suddenly that form within his heart disappeared, and Dhruva Maharaj became very disturbed because his meditation was broken. But then that Narayan, whom he was seeing within his heart, suddenly appeared outside. Now here I am outside. There's no need to meditate anymore because now you can see me outside. So then Narayan said, now what did you want? Didn't you want something? And Dhruva Maharaj was so embarrassed. He was ashamed. So he said to Narayan, I think there was some misunderstanding. Actually, I didn't want anything. But Krishna said, yes, you wanted something. You wanted a kingdom. But Dhruva Maharaj is very embarrassed. Let's not talk about that. So in this way, Dhruva Maharaj, by developing love for Krishna, he could not remember what his desire was. He desired a kingdom. But when he saw Krishna, he could not even remember. He was embarrassed. He was ashamed to admit, to remember that, yes, I wanted that. He didn't want to remember it. He only wanted to serve Krishna. And actually it's described specifically in the Bhagavatam that meanwhile in the capital city of Uttanapada, the king was feeling very heartbroken because sometimes a father will chastise his child, but if he sees that by his chastisement the child has actually become injured, or actually the child goes away, then the father will feel very guilty. That I chastise him to help him, but now in my chastisement it has had the opposite effect. So what was the use of such chastisement? So in this way, when Uttanapada realized, I was such a rascal, I was so attached to my other wife, Suruchi, that I didn't let my own son get up on my lap. He was a very loving boy. He wanted to get on my lap and I rejected him because now he's gone into the forest. And Uttanapada assumed that yes, he's killed. Just like, for example, if you have a 5-year-old boy and you hear that he's walked off into the Everglades swamps alone, miles and miles away from anyone, and then after weeks he doesn't come back, then it goes without saying that he's died. There's no question that he survived. It's understood that he's died, he's killed. That 5-year-old boy cannot walk into the swamp or walk into the wild jungle and be gone for weeks and weeks and months and not die. Everyone will assume that he's dead. So in this way, Uttanapada was assuming, yes, my son is gone. I've killed him because I rejected him, now he's been killed, so I've killed my own son. So in this way, Uttanapada was very much lamenting, and then suddenly he received news. He had become very morose and dejected. He had practically stopped managing his kingdom. He had let others manage it, and he was simply sitting there, heartbroken, all day and night. He would not do anything. Then he heard news that actually your son is not killed, he's alive and well, and he's coming back. So Uttanapada was so happy, he went to see Dhruva, and he embraced him. But it's described that even as he was embracing his son, he could see that he was not the same boy. He's very much different, because he had been touched by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna had touched him on the head with his conch shell. So in this way he had become purified, he had become a pure devotee of Krishna. So in this way, Krishna says here, Brahmanasya bijanataha. A Brahmana who knows the purpose of the Vedas. Bijanata. Bigyana. Bijanata means with a practical understanding, not theoretical. but actually one who knows the real purpose of life. One may outwardly speak about Krishna consciousness, but then he's actually trying to acquire something material. That means he does not actually understand the real purpose of Krishna consciousness. He may outwardly say, yes, Krishna is everything, but in his own mind he's actually thinking Krishna is something and there is also something else, which is not Krishna. So I want Krishna, but I also want that something else. This is called material desire. Krishna is something and there's also something else. So let me get Krishna, let me also get that something else. But when one thinks, no, there's only Krishna. There's only Krishna and love of Krishna, and that's all. I only want love of Krishna. Then that's called Ramanasya Vijanata. So such a person can actually understand the purpose of Vedic culture. So without understanding the purpose of Vedic culture, how can one become successful as a preacher? Therefore it is stated, Krishna Shakti Bina Nahe Tar Pravartan. That in order to spread Krishna consciousness, one must actually be enlightened by the Supreme Lord. He must know how Krishna is everything. So, anyway, I'm going to stop here now. Tomorrow is the appearance day of Lord Nityananda. So we all look forward to that. Jai, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you.
What you're about to hear is a bhajan and lecture on the appearance day of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami, given by His Divine Grace Hridayananda Das Goswami Acharya Dev on February 6, 1980, at New Namishranya Forest in Miami.
Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Pada Kamala Sri Guru Vaishnavamcha Sri Rupam Sagrajata Sahagana Raghunathanvita Tam Sadvaita Savadhuta Parijana Sahita Krishna Chaitanya Deva Sri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Sri Vitaka Vita Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sanyavari Patatya Desha Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Iti Namine Sri Vaishvanavi Devi Dayataya Kripamhaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Dayane Prabhave Madhurya Ojjala Premadya Sri Rupanuga Bhaktida Sri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute Namaste Gauravani Srimurtaye Dinatarine Rupanuga Viruddha Pasidhanta Dhanta Harne Namo Gaura Kishoraya Sakshat Vairagya Murtaye Vipralambara Sambudhe Padambujayate Namaha Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Sachirananda Namane Gaura Shakti Sarupaya Rupanugavadayate Gaurabhibhava Bhume Sang Nidishta Sajanapriya Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Sri Jagannadhayate Vantakalpatarurasya Kripasindhubhya eva ca Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Panchatat Svatmakam Krishna Bhakta Rupa Sarupaka Bhaktavatar Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam Namo Mahavaranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaura Krishna Hey Krishna
Shiva.